I dreamt about owning a Birkin all my adult life. And I always had a saying that if I could just buy a Birkin, I'd be happy and I could die. Not true. Don't want to die yet. Well, hi, everybody. This is Diane Gilman, formerly known as Queen of Jeans on QVC HSN, but now the proud host of Fashion Thursdays with Diane. And I'm going to ask you a question. Can a handbag change your life? Well, I thought so. I was buying the dream, ladies, and now I have a closet stuffed with status handbags. And you know what? Some of them I really fell in love with. Some of them I absolutely cooed over like it was a baby kitten or something. Yeah, and then you know what? Boredom sets in. And no matter what the bag is, it becomes kind of. So I want to start out with the biggest accessory purchase of my life, the Birkin bag. I couldn't even buy it in the store, not even in a basic color. And I tried New York City, Madison Avenue, not even the faintest chance. 5 to 7 year wait. Yeah, really? Okay. Then I was over in Paris. I tried it at two Hermes stores, the one connected to the Ritz Hotel, nowhere near realistic, and one further into the center of the fashion shopping area of Paris. Waited in line like 3 hours. You had to wait in line. You had to take a number, like you were buying a pastrami sandwich at Katz's Delicatessen. Only the difference is you actually get the pastrami at Katz's. I've got nothing. So I went online to something like Poshmark, to something like The Real Real, and they claimed that it had never been worn, which I do believe was true because the packaging was pristine. I got the basic ivory, gold hardware. And it came with the little key and the bells and whistles. Yeah, it's a good looking little bag. For the price of a car, that's right, $35,000 for that. And what did I expect out of it? I expected it to get me up the social ladder in New York City and London. Yeah, seriously. I expected that the women, I was trying to get into these two very exclusive women's clubs, that would be like wearing a sign on the front of my outfit saying, I've got it. I'm equal to you. I can afford this. Oh, yeah, it's just a little throwaway bag for me. Not entirely successful because here was the problem. They all knew this was entry level. And I remember you had to go through like 8 lunches and sit down with these women and they're grilling you about your life and your career and your this and your lineage. And I remember one of the women walked in and I wound up liking her a lot. But come on, she had the most absolutely insane blood red, real Croco Birkin bag, 35 millimeter. Oh my God. Here I am with my little $35,000 handbag, which equates to what? A compact Nissan or something in the car world. And she is wearing a Mercedes because that bag in red Croco, and it was beautifully polished and executed, was worth about 135,000 minimum, right? Had to be special ordered. Extravagant color. It's almost stupid to think that you're climbing the stairway to social heaven when you're just climbing it with the most common of uncommon bags. Then I ask the question, truly, what makes a Birkin a Birkin? Who said it's worth that amount of money? To tell you the truth, I had 2 choices. I could have bought black with gold. I could have bought ivory. I wear a lot of ivory. My hair color after breast cancer changed to natural white. I was going for a lot lighter neutral tones and I wanted something that I could wear every season of the year. Beyond going to ladies that luncheons and award dinners, where are you going to wear this First of all, the handles, everybody stresses. Oh my God, you've got to wrap scarves around the handles. Handles are going to get dirty so quickly, da 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 da, because it's a light color. Next is I took it on a trip exactly once. Okay, if you want to put it in its little sleepy bag, its dust bag, and carefully pack it and make sure it doesn't get squeezed, fine. But don't have a fantasy that you are wearing this bag on board unless you have the same attitude that all those club ladies had, which is nothing, just a basic. Because security in airports doesn't care if it's a $35,000 bag. They are going to throw it, stomp on it, abuse it as it goes through, rip it apart if they want to look inside. I find it so highly impractical. Where else are you going to wear it? Go to Whole Foods to go shopping for food? I don't think so. So it's really interesting. I would have to say I'm nowhere near financially upper class, upscale to really make any use out of this bag. I know I'll never buy another one in my lifetime. Times are just outright to be spending that, actually $40,000 with tax on a freaking handbag. First year wore it a lot because I was interviewing for all these clubs. Second year, active in the clubs, wearing it again and starting to get paranoid and thinking, I bet you these women are thinking to themselves, why does she keep wearing the same handbag? Third year, maybe I wore it 8 times a year, and last year, almost none. I dreamt about owning a Birkin all my adult life. And I always had a saying that if I could just buy a Birkin, I'd be happy and I could die. Not true. Don't want to die yet. Birkin just didn't do it for me. But you know what? Honestly, we buy into the myth. And I think you see it on celebrities. Like recently at the Met Gala, there was a very young star. She was probably about 22. She actually hired a man for the night to just carry her mini emerald green crocodile Birkin. I kid you not. But to tell you the truth, in person, it's just another bag. I hate to burst that bubble. Okay, but let's move on because we're going to go through a whole series of upscale dad's bags and how we tend to feel that we are buying into European sophistication with them. It will overflow on us a perception of wealth and sophistication, and respect will be given to us, and acceptance will be given to us, and will be the object of envy. Yeah, maybe for 5 minutes. So I want to go on to Gucci because Gucci is kind of my brand. Yeah. Oh, now here's typical fashionista females. I'm working with our producer, Lisa, who is fashionista to the core, like me. I said, Lisa, let's show pictures of all the brands. She pulled this up and we were like, oh, my heart is fluttering. Even the Togo lock is bamboo. And I have to tell you, it bothers me to look at this handbag because the truth is, I want it immediately. It's not that I need it, that's for sure. I want it. The way you've got a favorite dessert and you've got a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other going, get it, get it. No, don't get it, don't get it. You have to pay your mortgage. No, get it. It's going to make you so happy. No, your happiness is going to be fleeting. I don't know, but we were talking to this handbag before this podcast like it was a baby, like the cutest baby animal you ever saw, and you were going to cherish it for the rest of its life. But you know what? If I could get it in a bright color, I have a birthday coming up. See that? There's the devil talking. Yeah, I love that handbag. And what I love the most about it, although it has changed recently, is I think it could have been a legal thing like copywriting. It could be a technical thing. But until very recently, you couldn't even get a copy of that curved bamboo handle. I love that. That to me is such an iconic element. So Hermes is French, and you think of the French as slightly snobby and untouchable and beautiful and sophisticated. Italians. This is a pure Italian bag. Celebratory, hot, happy. I honestly love the iconic jacquard for Gucci too with the G's. And they came out with that fabric that they used in handbags, that jacquard G logo fabric in a blazer. I bought it, and I swear to you, every time I wear that guy out, it's tan, like the classic Gucci tan, with deep navy G's. Total strangers in New York walk up to me and say, I am in love with your blazer. That is not really and totally New York. Mostly in New York, you get side stares and a lot of iciness. We keep a distance in an overcrowded city. This, to me, is so beautiful. And I would go one step further and I would take a Gucci scarf and I would put it through one of the entry rings at the bottom where it attaches to the bag and have the scarf hanging down behind the luggage key thing. I do have a birthday coming up, and it's a big birthday. It's my 80th birthday. It's a decade birthday, and it's a huge decade birthday. Do you think I should get it with the scarf? See how bad I am? This is why I'm still working at 80 years old. Because I can't resist. And what do I think this is going to do for me? I think it's going to let everybody know that I'm a fashionista through and through, that I know what I'm doing. I know how to dress. And more importantly, I know how to boost the outfit through the perfect accessories. And I also think that this bag is a very visceral, you have a really emotional reaction to this bag, and that people are going to think, oh, that woman is so smart because that bag is so perfect. See, I'm buying the dream. That's me. So let's go on to Louis Vuitton. Get rid of this bag from my eyesight. Bet you I dream of it tonight, and it's total torture. Okay, Louis Vuitton. Very, very successful brand. And this was a collaboration with a famous Japanese artist. They made it multicolor. It became the happy brand. That's pretty good actually for a brand that was founded in 1854. Yeah, as a saddle maker. It was all about leather goods. And then they took the brand and they embossed it. And this is not a jacquard, it's a silk screen on top of canvas. Gucci was born in 1921, still a heritage, but 1854, you got a long history behind you, which I think is honestly part of the worth of the brand. But here's where I think the mistake comes in. I think that if you are any part of that social group that we call stealth wealth, you would never, ever carry a purse like this with that kind of logo. It's too bold. It's too loud. And the other thing I think Louis Vuitton did when they made this, and it was revolutionary when they brought it out, no one had ever seen a status brand like this. They made it for entry level young customers from affluent families. And it's got a branded attitude now that is entry level young. I would never, ever spend my money on it. It just would be so not right for me. I think that the younger customer also moves too quickly, or if times get really questionable, like they're very financial markets are very confusing right now, and you are leaning on your parents to be able to go and buy a handbag like this, which is going to cost you 3,000, 4,000 bucks. Maybe mommy and daddy right now are saying, wait, no. The other thing is too, they're very easy to knock off because they're not a jacquard, because they are a print. I think you go to Chinatown in New York, you're going to see a bazillion versions of this that are shockingly real looking. However, if you want to talk about Chinatown and you want to talk about really a brand that lost its way for a long while through copying, I want to go to Chanel. Next, let's get that Chanel bag up there. And I will say, that's the one thing I always wanted. I'm always looking for ways to take care of my body and have it express itself through that healthy glow. And I think I found what to me is a miracle. It is called Amra. It's got all sorts of collagen. It's got peptides. It has vitamins. It has minerals. And it's just this tiny little scoop of it. I don't even take it with juice. Honestly, I just pop it in my mouth. It tastes like butterscotch. It absorbs quickly and it makes a big difference. As you age, even if you are eating correctly, you are absorbing less vitamins. That's just what happens to your body. You need a supplement that's easy to take, almost instantaneously gives you results, more energy, better looking skin and hair, and helps you form a healthy habit and start to get all the nutrients you need. That is Amra. I love Amra, but could never get because my body's just too big and my midriff is like a rounded beach ball, was the Chanel jacket. I would, and still to this day, I would die for a Chanel jacket. But I don't even know if they're around anymore in the classic style. The price has increased so much that when a Chanel jacket was an envy for me and I was still working, it would have been $6,000, $7,000. Big stretch for me. That's why I don't have one. Today, get ready. I hope you're sitting down closer to 20,000. Yeah, for the basic tweed. Now, Chanel, Coco Chanel, was such a rule breaker. She was such a pioneer. Did you know Coco Chanel invented the handbag? Yeah, women didn't carry handbags, really, before that. They put their stuff in their pockets of their jackets. So it was just so novel to have this piece of clothing in a world that really had not totally developed accessories beyond nobility wearing real jewelry. So she developed two things, the handbag and did a costume jewelry. As in, she started out with fake pearls and just piled them on. I think that a real Chanel bag was my first investment in status accessories. I felt like I couldn't go wrong with it. So here's the good news with Chanel. The quilt never changes. So you can like wear it forever. Unless you've got a really high boredom level like me, in which case that's not going to happen. And here's the bad news. The quilting never changes and starts to look boring. And so if you're not doing it in shocking colors or happy, youthful colors or metallics or print or tweed, it just starts to grow old. And I have got a closet full of Chanels. And they all look like stuffy and kind of old lady to me now. Aren't I terrible? Look at it. I am such a spoiled child. Yeah, occasionally, and definitely for a club meeting or something with, the women's clubs, I'll pull out a Chanel because it's so easily understood and is always accepted as an okay way to dress. And I think because a lot of these women's clubs are so slow to change and evolve and become modern, Chanel is a great brand for members to wear because it never evolves, it never changes, and only shocking color choices, which they barely ever come out with, except during the Barbie era. They came out with pink. And of course, for me, when I went to get it, they were sold out. It was like a waiting list forever. But it's a heritage brand. It's been around since 1905. And so there's whole history behind it and seeing absolutely a lot of royalty, a lot of French celebrity like Catherine Deneuve, always wearing and supporting Chanel. And just in case anybody would love to give me a present for my 80th birthday of a Chanel jacket, I'm totally open for a discussion. So those brands, Hermes, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and Chanel, those are really mainstay, upper level wealth brands that say something about you. They're luxury, and you can buy into each particular myth. The one brand I would assign to England, to the UK, would be, hello, Burberry. Now, that was founded in 1858 as outerwear brand for hunting weekends. Therefore, it morphed into the trench coat. And do I own a couple? I do. And do they have that classic plaid lining? They do. And do I have some Burberry scarves? Yeah, I have them. I love wearing them. Here's the reason I invested in them, because no trench coat should cost $3,500. That's absurd. They never change. That's kind of the one thing I'm saying about a lot of these brands is their strength is in history. And you can't rewrite history. So the brand sort of stays the same, stays the same. Yeah, I have a few fashion trench coats where Alexander McQueen, before he passed away, did an incredible peplum version for Burberry, of a Burberry. But you know what? I don't wear it as much. I love their classic. And it's great, especially during the rainy season and fall. So what does wearing that plaid say for me? That I'm a classicist, maybe that I'm really comfortable in my own skin, that I like tradition, I don't like flashy. Let's go to lesser brands that offer a filtered dream to a wider audience. Michael Kors. Let's go to Michael. Oh, whoa, that was fast. Okay, what does this remind me of? This, to me, it looks like a Louis Vuitton classic canvas tote, but it's got the logo jewelry on it. And sad to me, I've met Michael several times, and he is really a nice guy. And he worked very hard. Michael Kors was founded in 1981. So it's been 45 years of the brand, and it took him a while, but you know what? He deserves every penny he made. He was brilliant at reinterpreting runway to reality. But when you look up, and this is a tragic part to me, his bio on the internet, it says success crashes down on Michael Kors. It's like, what? And here's what Michael Kors says, because he's under a tremendous amount of pressure to rebuild his success. I mean, this was a multi-country, global, entry-level, you can look successful without spending a fortune. Yes, it's affordable brand with a ton at the beginning, and especially for his runway fashion, which is gorgeous. Celebrity endorsements, but he spread it too far. He even says that it will never be the same again. It's got brand fatigue. And really and truthfully, and I traveled so much in my career as I did QVC globally in Europe. This was spread too far, and it started to represent couture to the masses. So it was a certain kind of product to a certain audience that would never be able to touch Michael Kors beyond watching a video of his runway shows. I've been to a few. They're breathtaking. Seriously. This is a man who's truly got command of fashion and materials and how to dress the female human body. But he just spread it too far. And so I loved it for what he did for people that could not afford. If you couldn't afford the $3,500 Daumier check Louis Vuitton canvas tote, you could afford the $350 Michael Kors version. I know people that year after year fail up. This was how to dress up. And I would go into an airport, I don't care whether it was in Hong Kong or France or Heathrow or JFK in America, and 9 out of 10 women would be wearing a Michael Kors handbag. And then you didn't want to. You would never consider wearing it. It just wasn't you. It wasn't who you aspired to be. If there's a bright side, there's a dark side. If there's a winning side, there's a losing side. But he did an incredible job dressing the international female every woman audience. And because that was honestly my take on fashion, dressing the every woman customer who wasn't getting a chance to be fabulous anyplace else. I really relate to it deeply. He did just an amazing job. So that is truly the first of 3 brands where I'm going to talk about runway to reality and couture to the masses. And the next one where you buy into the creator of the brand is Tory Burch. So I remember, going into Bergdorf Goodman's, and you had to get in line in her department for a salesperson. Might take half an hour, 45 minutes, just to be able to see if you could get that logo, rounded logo, flat, ballet flat, about $350, $375. You were so desperate, you sort of take it in any color. But frankly, it was in about 40 colors. How many of those did I have in my closet, and why? Tory Burch married herself to her brand. She created herself around her brand, and her lineage was so pristine. She was beautiful, blonde, mega rich. Her mother had been one of the major Truman Capote socialites. So she had a Palm Beach mansion. She had a New York mansion. She had a Hamptons estate. Don't conflate that and confuse that with a home in the Hamptons. She walked the walk. She talked the talk. She looked the part. Everybody wanted to be Tory Burch, and the one way you could touch that star, that fashion and social star, was through her clothing. But not her clothing. The clothing never truly took off. And she never really designed the clothing to take off. I think she only went up to a size 12. She made it for her image, which was lean and brawn and golden female goddess. Yeah, but you could get the shoes. The shoes could fit, and the utterly intelligent way she designed that logo. It was regal looking. It was upscale. It was sort of almost like untouchable. And it worked on everything. It worked on handbags too. It worked small, on flats. It was just brilliant. And she controlled that footwear market for years. They built whole departments for her that were always outperforming themselves. And frankly, it said so much about you. It said you were young, you were rich, you were smart, you were modern, you were chic, you were contemporary, you were in the flow of fashion and the mix of things. Yeah, I owned a million of them. And then a little bit like Michael Kors. It's amazing how these brands have their rise, and then you sort of start to see cracks in the armor and their fall. Oh, by the way, I loved her outlet stores too. And I can only say the only other ballet flat I have ever seen have this kind of customer mania and acceptance is the Chanel two-tone black toe ballet flat, which to this day, 50, 60, 70, 80 years after it was introduced to an American audience, still their bestseller. So when you design it right, yeah, I love these. I have them in my closet, and I actually wear them with my ivory Birkin bag. Yay, Diane, coordination. So we're going to end with a completely modern and maybe the only status brand that actually connects directly to sexuality and successful dating and meeting men. Who would that be? Ha! Christian Louboutin. That is the infamous red sole. The story behind Christian Louboutin is he is European, he is partially French, also Moroccan. Diane von Furstenberg, when she was president of the CFDA, which she may still be, found him and discovered him and invested in him. Then we got Pat Fields, the incredible inventor of wardrobe for Sex in the City, and Sarah Jessica Parker. And they did whole episodes on Christian Louboutins and the heel, which was murderous. God, these were the most beautiful, most uncomfortable shoe in the fucking history of footwear. I remember at the end of evenings, my heel in the back would be bloody, and you'd still be wearing those shoes. I wore them on air all the time. Yeah, how about it? No mystery. You're in a stiletto heel with a pointy toe. There she is. And you're wearing jeans to sell jeans, which I was on air. Tell me you don't look better 6 inches taller in one of the most beautiful pumps in history. To me, because I was in fashion, the real mystery here was what an architect he was, that he could actually get you to arch that high for that long entire evening and not have you screaming in pain. You might have been in pain silently, but you weren't screaming yet. Sex in the City made the red sole famous. It still is, although we've gone on to flat shoes. We've kind of gotten over, again, I think it was COVID that did that, because it introduced the fact that you could be living your life comfortably, and that was kind of a shock. We'll never forget that whole red soul phase. I remember seeing episodes of Sex in the City where she was either talking to a Christian Louboutin shoe through a glass front store window. Hello, lover. Or talking to her Christian Louboutins in her closet and which one was she going to wear tonight. And also talking about the fact that she had to go on renting an apartment. I really relate to this because she was spending thousands of dollars a month on these shoes. And, you know, they held the promise. You were going to meet Mr. Big in these shoes. You were going to be perceived as important, a woman in control, sexy, worth chasing after, the promise of a hell of an evening with you because you were wearing your red sole Christian Louboutins. And that is the only piece of footwear I can think of. And he was really the premier designer that promised all sorts of sexual promises where you didn't have to be a pervert that was completely phobic about shoes with a pair of shoes. And that, out of all the product I've presented to you, I think there are 2 brands that somewhat deliver their fantasy promises. First one is Hermes, but there you really have to be in a sophisticated environment. They'll recognize the working. They'll recognize Birkin now more because Walmart was selling the knockoff of it, the Workin, and the Christian Louboutin red sole because of Sex in the City, which reruns constantly, so you're always reminded of it. Can a handbag or a shoe change your life and give you the dream? Occasionally. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for listening to Too Young to Be Old podcast. The episode may be over, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at The Diane Gilman, or visit our website, thedianegilman.com. If you like the show, leave us a rating or a review and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And until then, don't forget, age is just a number. Together, we'll prove that we are all too young to be old.